Hi, I'm Jose Hernandez here at CSM Fitness USA, and I have been buying and selling used gym equipment for over 20 years. Now, there is a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. If you're actually out there shopping on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, or even your local gym, this might be the video for you. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how you could save money in the long run. Let's get into it. So generally when I do these videos, I kind of script them and I go through them, and I don't know if it works or doesn't work, but what I'm going to try is something a little bit different. I'm just going to fly off the handle, just talk off the cuff, and just try to have a conversation with you. If I were looking at buying used equipment, some of the things that I would look out for are like really, really heavy rust on certain machines, specifically cardio machines. Cardio machines, if they're really rusty, don't even buy them. It's just not worth it. The condensation builds up inside of the machine, and most of the times the electronics get ruined. And it's just, to me, it's not really worth it. So just kind of stay away from the rust on cardio. On strength equipment, obviously the steel is a lot thicker. And if you really want the machine and you're looking for a project that you're going to refurbish, I don't think it should matter as far as the rust goes. As long as it's functionally all there and all the parts are there, I think you're fine. So, rust is one of those things where it really depends on what you're buying. But on cardio equipment, I would say absolutely not. Don't do it. If it's heavy rust, don't do it. And if it's a piece of strength, it depends on how badly you want it and how aesthetic you're really looking for it to please you. Now, another thing is here, I'm just going to run through this list because it's the only way I can keep my my thoughts in order here. So sloppy movements, sloppy noises. So when you're buying a piece of equipment, generally with the strength, you shouldn't hear any noises except the weight stacks moving up and down. If you hear anything other than that, then chances are there's something going on, some rubbing, maybe a worn cable. It could be any number of little small things, so look out for those. With cardio equipment, if you hear noises, it could be a couple of it could be the difference between like something that's super major or something that is like really minor, like a back cap is rubbing or a finger guard is rubbing on a treadmill, on elliptical, maybe the belt's not tight enough. Sometimes in the really cold weather, machines tend to make a lot of noise just because they've been sitting, and that will tend to actually make some noise, but it's usually, it should go away after a while of using them. So just keep that in mind. If you buy something used and you're using it for 6 months still and it's still making the same noises, then it's something different. But if you just bought it and you bought it in cold climate and now you're using it, then the noise should tend to go away once you start using it. So, that's, as far as noises go, I think that's kind of how I would see those things. These are some of the obvious things like frayed cables, broken belts, busted buttons. All those things you should take into account when you're buying them. If the part is replaceable, then it should not be such a big deal if you're really looking to save some money. But when it comes down to like hard parts, like incline motors on treadmills, alternators, that kind of stuff, if you're buying it used, I would probably say don't buy it if it has an alternator problem, an incline problem, anything like that, just because those parts could be costly. And if you're not an expert behind fixing equipment, it's just going to cost you an arm and a leg. And at that point, you should have just bought something from a reputable source like us here at CSM Fitness USA. So, that's just a plug, guys. I do this for a living. So that's actually a good example of it. Now, another thing is like when you're looking at old gym equipment, like a lot of people love the classics right now, and it's become a real trend where I don't necessarily agree with this trend. It's just a part of the trend right now in the fitness industry where everybody wants to bring back machines from 40 years ago. And I'm just going to be honest, like 40-year-old machines are not better than machines that are made today. They're just not. Come fight me. Find me in the comments. So I'd say when you're looking at these older machines, make sure that whatever repairs they've made, if any, that they were done properly. Some people tend to repair these machines and they don't do a good job. And when that happens, you can never really replace it. And it's very hard to have another machine next to you that you can compare it to in order to know if it's actually working, until you just mystically one day pop up at a gym and they have one and you notice that it works totally different. So keep that in mind. for real. If you're like buying a piece of cardio, a good rule of thumb is to just check the buttons, make sure they work. You know, quick start, stop, up, down, round and round. Just make sure all that stuff works. Especially if you're picking it up from an individual, just because like I'm saying, like it could be something minor, like a membrane for the piece of equipment, or it could be that it needs the whole console. And if it's the whole console, it could be really expensive, or if it just needs a membrane, it might not be that big of a deal, but it still might be something you don't want to take on. So just keep that in mind. Another thing which kind of grinds my gears, a lot of people are spending a lot of money on used equipment, almost to the detriment of themselves. Like they'll spend an absorbent amount of money on a piece of used equipment when they could just buy something brand new. Like the price difference is minimal at that point. So just keep that in mind. Like if you're comparing a piece of equipment to another piece of equipment, let's just say a treadmill to a treadmill, and you're being offered a used treadmill for say $1,500, or you're looking at buying a used treadmill for $1,500, but you can buy a brand new one for say $2,000. I would probably take the one for $2,000 or $2,500. Now, it might not be comparable. So just make sure that's, you're comparing apples to apples when you do that. But, I always say, make sure you double check your sources. Like I know a lot of people get stuck on brand, but I gotta be honest, like a lot of times with some of the machines, as long as it's not like a treadmill, like up, down, round, and round, it is what it is. Some decks are smaller, softer than others. But when you're looking at used and you're just looking at like fill in a gap of what your needs are, then the brand shouldn't really matter unless you're spending big bucks. So keep that in mind. I just think that make sure you price compare the used stuff, not just to used stuff, but to actual new stuff that's available out there. And keep in mind, there's a lot of like, maybe not like some of the major brands that are out there. There is, second and third, brands that are out there that have great warranties you can buy. Obviously, if you have any questions about that, just, feel free to, pop in a message. I'd love to answer your questions. Let's see here. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Oh, other things too. When you're looking at commercial equipment, just make sure that it's not like too old. Like cardio, 4 to 6 years old, I think it's fine for you to buy. If you're looking for a real bargain and you're looking for something that might be replaceable for you for a year or two, you could buy something that's super old if it works. And if, you get it for a cheap enough price, if you replace it down the line, it's not a big deal. But if you're gonna spend hard-earned money, and I'm talking over $1,500, you should start looking at stuff that's like 4 to 6 years old. I think that's a good age range where you can still get parts, you're still getting something very contemporary to what's available out there today. If you're looking to buy from an individual, for example, just make sure you go through that mental checklist. Do the buttons work? Does the machine work? Is it making noises? Super simple stuff before you even throw it in your car now. And make sure you price compare between, like I said, like newer products and what's available today versus what they're selling that for. Also keep in mind, what are you gonna do to get it out and pick it up? That actually becomes one of the biggest hurdles I see a lot of people dealing with. They want to buy this machine, they got it for a good deal, they turn around, they buy it, and then boom, they don't know how to pick it up. We provide those services, so if you're in one of our service areas, we could actually provide you for that service for a fee, obviously. So just feel free to call us. But yeah, generally, keep that in mind. It's super important. A lot of people come totally unprepared for those things. I hear it all the time. So you obviously know we don't have a massive audience here on YouTube or any of this social media, except on Instagram. We have like 10,000 followers on Instagram, but we don't really get a lot of engagement, which is really, really weird. So if you're on Instagram and you know us, make sure you hit us a like, leave us a comment, say something so that I know that I'm just not making these videos in the void, or I probably am making these in the void. I'm definitely making these in the void. So if you're looking for any kind of equipment, make sure you hit us up at csmfitnessusa.com. We sell a large mix of brand new and used equipment. We actually deal with a lot of businesses. So if you're looking for some fitness consultation as far as your gym equipment space, I would love to talk to you. We do a free 3D rendering, which you could take advantage of. And yeah, besides that, I hope this video helps someone out there. And if it does, leave us a like and give us a follow. All right, till the next time, I'm Jose. I'm out. Peace.